Ernie said, the mayor stepped out for a bit.
Is that my wife? No, the mayor stepped out.
I mean, you should edit that right out.
All right, hi everybody. Mayor Steve Jones here. It's about 6:30. Let's start maybe just with roll call just to make sure we have everybody here. So we'll convene the September 22nd meeting of the Garden Grove City Council. After we do that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over. Actually, I'll go ahead and just hand it over to Fat to run the Housing Authority, and we'll get a roll call immediately from that. So Fat, go ahead, take it away.
Sure, okay. I now open the Garden Grove Housing Authority meeting for Tuesday, September 22nd. Madam Clerk, please roll call.
Commissioner Beckles,
Here.
Commissioner Breitigam,
Here.
Commissioner Jones,
Here.
Commissioner Klopfenstein,
Here.
Commissioner Deidre Nguyen,
Here.
Commissioner O'Neill,
Here.
Commissioner Solario,
Here.
Vice Chair Kim Nguyen,
Here.
Chair Bui.
Here. I now open the public communication. Is there anyone who would like to speak on matter that is particular to the Housing Authority?
Chair Bui, there is no one to speak under orals.
Okay, no communication either?
No.
Okay, in that case, we now close the public communication and move on to consent item. We have 2 items on this. Madam Clerk, please, I would like to ask anyone to make a motion or second.
Second it.
Madam Clerk, please roll call.
Commissioner Beckles,
Yes.
Commissioner Breitigam,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Klopfenstein,
Yes.
Commissioner Deidre Nguyen,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Neill,
Yes.
Commissioner Solario,
Yes.
Vice Chair Kim Nguyen,
Yes.
Chair Bui.
Yes.
Motion received, 9 yes votes.
Okay, moving on to matters. Anyone? Hearing none, I now adjourn the meeting and back to the City Council. Mayor Jones?
Thank you. I will convene the Garden Grove City Council. Madam Clerk, would you like to call roll?
Councilmember Breitigam,
Here.
Councilmember Deidre Nguyen,
Here.
Councilmember Bui,
Here?
Councilmember Klopfenstein,
Here.
Councilmember Kim Nguyen,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Neill,
Here.
and Mayor Jones.
Here. Councilmember Klopfenstein, could you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Councilmember Klopfenstein, did you hear that? Maybe she's on
I'm
mute.
sorry. Yes, I did. No, sorry about that. I heard you. Please repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we will go ahead and do oral communications. Madam Clerk, take it away.
Okay. Our first, we have 3 speaker cards tonight. Our first speaker is Craig Durfee. Second speaker, Allison Vo. Third speaker, Nicholas Dibbs. So we'll start with Craig Durfee.
Council. This is Craig Durfee, PRDC. I'm advertised for those families who are having challenges with isolation, child abuse, and suicide. That would be on the Orange County Breeze Green Banner. I'm coming tonight, and I ask for the consideration of the council and the mayor to extend my remarks to 5 minutes. There's much to cover. And what is, first of all, I've reached out to the Legion in Anaheim. I just got a letter it's coming to support my cause for education of the veterans. I reached out to Maureen Blackman, the Argo Neighbor Association, asked her to go back to Broadwater and Dalton's in honor of our veterans. Yes. I would like to ask this council to put a POW flag in your ordinance of 132 at the clock tower with the flag, since we're going to honor that in November, I think 6th or 7th, while we're waiting for the development of the flag on Merkhurst. I think it's fitting. And I would also encourage the Dietrich, who is on for my district, to look at developing her district for the veterans issue as well as the blight across the street, because I do get a lot of flyers from you, and I wonder where you are in our community. The next thing is that we need the council to give direction for your administration through Styles to move forward with the commissions and the park commission in October to start talking about the concepts and the zoning provisions in that area and drawing up a collective effort of the community, since the 209 AB November 19 is the foundation of funding for trails and private donations. I've done a lot of work. I hope you also will consider my representative to speak to me, because I have things to deal with and I need something either elected by the mayor or somebody till he decides what he wants to do. The other thing is I'm concerned about your code enforcement. He's a great guy, doing a great job, but he cannot enforce the zoning violations on other brokers. And Dixie is OCTA. And I think being the mayor and you're the chair, I would ask you to address this issue with me, because it's now temporary power lines, which is not, according to the PRA record, it's not permitted. And so there's going to be a sprouts there. And I'd ask your consideration since you're in development, not bring blight to our community. I hope that you will understand that there is a new law, AB 24, effective now in schools, that brings civic engagement. And I think that you're the chair or the mayor in an economy for education, I've mentioned to you before respectfully. It's up to you to make sure that civic engagement in your civic city government. That's what has been done in the past in various cities. I hope you will do more for focus on our youth and put a bicycle program downtown repair. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Next speaker is Allison Vo.
Good evening, council members. Good to see you. My name is Allison. I'm the youth organizing coordinator of Get Rise. I'm here on behalf of organization Get Rise, as well as Vietnamese community members within your district, as well as concerned members of the community overall. We're here to deliver a letter that we sent in through email, but also a letter that we'd like to address to the council as a whole. Dear Mayor Steve Jones and City Council members, we are Garden Grove residents, and we are urging you to support the release of Thanh Nguyen, a Vietnamese refugee who has been unconstitutionally detained by ICE in Adelanto Detention Center for over 6 months. Thanh was granted parole in 2019 after receiving a commutation from Governor Brown in 2018. Shortly after, ICE detained him and has indefinitely done so ever since. ICE is violating Tim's constitutional right to due process and exacerbating a public health crisis. Just last week, it was announced that there was a massive COVID-19 outbreak in Adelanto Detention Center where Tim is being detained. It is unacceptable that the Garden Grove City Council members have remained quiet on this issue. So far, only Councilmember Kim Wing has spoken in support of protecting Tim's immediate release and of his civil rights and due process. We need local elected officials like you in Garden Grove who represent the largest number of Vietnamese residents in Orange County to show that you care about issues that impact Vietnamese residents. We call on you to stand on the side of due process and second chances and help bring Tim home. As elected officials who represent the largest community of Vietnamese in Orange County, I cannot emphasize enough that we need you to side with Vietnamese residents and support Tim's release and speak up against the increased deportation of Vietnamese refugees. We're asking for you to issue a public response in support of Tim's release. Orange County's Vietnamese community is watching, and we hope you take the right step. I'd also like to add that Vietnamese issues are also an immigrant rights issue. And now more than ever, immigrant rights issues are a human rights issue. Every day that ICE continues to detain Tim, they're in violation of his constitutional right to due process. I know that there have been conversations, there have been critiques about law and order, but the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and Tim has earned and is deserving of human rights. Moreover, he has his right to constitutional due process. This is why when the issue of human rights is raised in the Vietnamese community, it is really critical that elected officials who represent their Vietnamese constituents, elected officials such as Kim Wing, Congress members Lowenthal and Correa are vocal and in support of Tim's release. Even Bao Ngu Viet has issued an article calling in support of this. It is everyone's duty as representatives to support us and end their silence and take action now. Thank you.
The next speaker is Nicholas Dibbs.
Mayor Jones, members of the council, my name is Nicholas Dibbs. I'm a credentialed science teacher, live here in Garden Grove for many years. I worked in the Garden Grove Unified School District for over 16 years. I'm bringing to your attention the need to reestablish Youth and Government Day. I lobbied and worked to get both the school district and the city council and the city staff to provide Youth and Government Day and to reinstate this wonderful program that ran for over 20 years, and then there was a hiatus. We brought it back in February 2018. So when this COVID thing is over, I ask that we bring it back again. However, even though during the COVID time, we may not be able to meet in person for Youth and Government Day, I want to bring to your attention that the State Department of Education on or about September 10th approved the Excellence in Civic Learning Seal of Civic Engagement Award for students to have an opportunity to engage in excellence in civic learning, participation in civics-related projects, contributions to their community, and an understanding of the United States Constitution, the California Constitution, and the American democratic system. So this is why we need a youth commission, not just a ad hoc group. We need to have a youth commission so we can bring in the community members, business members, and civic leaders to help reestablish Youth and Government Day, and also to provide opportunities for this new state-approved Seal of Civic Engagement Award that high school students can have an opportunity to learn. With this new seal of Civic Engagement Award, we, the California Department of Education, hope to prepare all students with an empathetic concern for others, a deep understanding of democracy, and the civic engagement skills needed to contribute to the welfare of their local communities, the state, and the country. We know that when young people activate their voices, they can be among the strongest change agents in our communities, said State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Tony Thurmond. Quote, education is the cornerstone of realizing our democratic ideals, and this new seal puts additional tools in students' hands as they work to shape the future. So I'm urging the council, after the elections are over and the mayor to actually establish a youth commission. Okay, that was the request. Instead, it got derailed, and we have a watered down version of an ad hoc committee run by Mr. Monchentris. This needs to be an actual commission, which includes civic leaders, educators, community leaders, to help provide these opportunities, mentoring programs and other opportunities for the youth. Thank you very much. My name is Nicholas Dibb.
Madam Clerk, do you have any other speakers?
No, that was the last speaker card, and we did get emails for public comments. So I'll just go through that list. We
Okay.
received an emails in opposition to Proposition 16 from Team OSEP. I really don't know how to pronounce this name, but I'll try. It's OSEP. Ashley Owen, Wei Wang, Alan Song. We received an email from Victoria Williams requesting to reopen parks and playgrounds and suggest limiting the hours. We received emails in support of a youth committee from Giovanni Cordova Aviles, Estrella Vasquez, Mariela Vasquez, Ashley Dow, Malia Saeed, and Ann A. We received an email from Connie Tran in support of the Garden Grove chapter of Diversify Our Narrative. We received an email from Joshua Galili in support of creation of more housing units and walkable neighborhoods and the Garden Grove housing element. We received an email from Craig Durfee for a request for a resolution and a press conference to bring awareness to blue light damaged eyesight from electronic devices. We received emails from Tony Flores in opposition to State Senate Bill 145, as it is seen as a threat to the safety of minors and loosening laws in regards to sex offenders, and also in opposition to the release of Tin Tin Nguyen from ICE detention.
Is stalking the young lady that was speaking.
We received an email in support of the release of Tin Tin Nguyen from Candace Sue and Sue Sao. And that's all I have tonight. Thank you, Mayor and Council.
All right, thank you. We will now recess and go to other agencies. So we'll start with the sanitary district, and I'll hand it over to President Fatbouli.
Okay, I now open the sanitary district meeting for the September 22. Madam Clerk, please roll call.
Member Bridegan,
Here.
Member Jones,
Here.
Member Klopfenstein,
Here.
Member Kim Nguyen,
Here.
Member Deidre Nguyen,
Yes.
Vice President O'Neill,
Here.
President Bowie.
Here. Okay, move on to, well, we have done oral communication alongside with the City Council, so we now move to consent item, 2 items. Do we have a second for the motion?
O'Neill, second it.
I'll move it.
Okay. Madam Clerk, please call for the vote.
Member Bridegan,
Yes.
Member Jones,
Yes.
Member Klopfenstein,
Yes.
Member Kim Nguyen,
Yes.
Member Deidre Nguyen,
Yes.
Vice President O'Neill,
Yes.
and President Bowie.
Yes.
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
Okay, moving on to matters. Anything from members of the sanitary district?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
it's Brightigan. I have a matter.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm directing this more at staff. you know, I've received a few complaints in the last couple of months now about the same issue of sanitary not picking up bulky items anymore. And I think we need to get on Republic to start getting, you know, that's contractual. That's part of what they're signed up to do. And you know, I think that, you know, we all realize that we have the COVID thing going on and there's things that we need to deal with. But with that being said, we also know that it's not spreading on surfaces so much, and there's nothing to prevent them from wearing some gloves and PPE and coming out and collecting some bulky items. So I think we need to at least put some pressure on them to start doing some bulky item pickups, because it's getting messy and there's more and more complaints, people dropping stuff off in fields or behind supermarkets and that kind of stuff. So anyway, that's it.
This is Chairman Bowie. In my conversation with Republic Services about a month and a half ago, they told me that in about a couple of weeks, they will resume that operation, that services. Do we know that whether or not they have done that, or, and this is a question for staff, do we know whether they have done that or they're still racking on their feet?
Chairman, Chair Bowie, Councilman Breitigam, this is City Manager Stiles. I will call Republic tomorrow and relay the concerns of council and see if I can get some information about what the status is, and I will report back to the council.
Okay, good. Could you please, once you got the answer, could you email to all of the mayor and all of the council members so we know and we can get our constituents know about it?
Yes, Councilman, I will send that information to all the members of council.
Okay, thank you. Any other matters? Hearing none, I adjourn the Sanitary District meeting and back to the City Council. Mayor Jones.
Okay, I'll convene the successor agency. Madam Clerk, will you call roll, please?
Member Breitigam,
Here.
Member O'Neill,
Here.
Member Deidre Nguyen,
Here.
Member Klopfenstein,
Here.
Member Kim Nguyen,
Here.
Vice Chair Bowie,
Here.
Chair Jones.
Here. Okay, we've already done oral communications. We'll move on to consent calendar, just receive and file. Can I get a motion in a second?
I'll move it, Breitigam.
I'm second.
Second.
This is Deidre.
Roll call vote, please.
Member Breitigam,
Yes.
Member O'Neill,
Yes.
Member Deidre Nguyen,
Yes.
Member Klopfenstein,
Yes.
Member Kim Nguyen,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bowie,
Yes.
Chair Jones.
Yes.
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
All right, thank you. Any matters from successor agency members? Seeing none, we will adjourn back to City Council. We'll reconvene City Council and go on to consent calendar. It's recommended that 2A through 2I be acted on simultaneously unless anyone would like to poll. Any polls?
Move the balance, Breitigam.
Second it.
Call to vote. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Breitigam,
Yes.
Councilmember Deidre Nguyen,
Yes.
Councilmember Bowie,
Yes.
Councilmember Klopfenstein,
Yes.
Councilmember Kim Nguyen,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Neill,
Yeah, it was a yes.
Mayor Jones,
Yes.
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
All righty, thank you. Takes us on to items for consideration. We have 2 listed, so we'll go to item 3A.
Item 3A is award a contract to G4S Secure Solutions, Inc. for civilian jail contract services. And I believe that Lieutenant Dalton is here to give the report.
Yes, I am. Good evening, Mayor, City Council, City Manager, and City staff. Before you is a staff report seeking City Council approval to enter into an agreement with G4S Secure Solutions, Inc. to provide civilian custody officer services to the police department. In June 2000, the City Council approved the city's first contract with GEO Group, formerly CSI, to provide 24-hour jail booking services for the police department. Using the civilian jail contract services, police officers are able to reduce the time it takes to process arrestees and return to the field to handle calls for service. On average, it takes police officers approximately 2 hours to handle a prisoner through the entire booking process. Using the jail contract services, this processing time has been reduced to approximately 15 minutes, allowing the police officers to return to the field more quickly to handle emergency calls for service. Over the past several years, there has been an increase in crime within the city and an increase in arrests made by the police department. In 2019, officers made 7,575 arrests for both felony and misdemeanor crimes. This is a 34.8% increase in arrests from 2014, when officers made 5,619 arrests. The time saved by having civilian jailers process the arrestee is the equivalent of having approximately 6 additional police officers on the street. In June 2019, the City Council approved a 3-year agreement with GEO Group. However, on June 25th, 2020, the police department received notice from GEO terminating the contract with the city effective November 1st of 2020. GEO advised it is terminating the contract as a result of an internal business decision to cease jail operations in the state of California. In November of 2019, the City of Westminster conducted an RFP process requesting open bids for custody officer services. During that process, a request for proposal was sent to 3 vendors: G4S Secure Solutions, Inc., Core Civic, Inc., and the GEO Group, Inc. The City of Westminster received only 1 proposal, and that was from G4S Secure Solutions, who was awarded the contract by the Westminster City Council on March 11, 2020. Garden Grove City staff recommends piggybacking on the existing contract between G4S and the City of Westminster. G4S has also agreed to offer employment to the current 10 GEO employees, provided that they would pass their updated pre-employment screening. This will allow for a seamless transition between vendors, as the GEO employees are very familiar with the current jail operations. All costs for employee training and pre-employment screening are included in the contract price and will not be billed separately. The proposed annual costs of the G4S contract are as follows: fiscal year 2020-2021, $648,284. Fiscal year 21-22, $678,888. And fiscal year 22-23, $708,608. The first full year cost of the G4S contract is $648,284. However, since the contract will not go into effect until November 1st, the prorated cost through June 30th, 2021 will be approximately $432,189. The fiscal year 2020-2021 Police Department budget includes an allocation of $609,294 for the current contract with GEO. It is anticipated that the city will pay GEO approximately $197,183 for services rendered through October 31st, 2020. And the remaining funds, approximately $412,111, will be reallocated to the G4S contract. Fiscal year 2021 costs of the G4S contract not covered by the existing allocation is approximately $20,078. that will be covered by public safety restricted grant funds recently appropriated for the police department's budget. The additional costs for the 21-22 and the 22-23 budgets will be paid for through a combination of grant funds such as JAG, SLESA, Prop 172, and AB 109 as they become available. It is recommended that the Garden Grove City Council approve the agreement with G4S Secure Solutions for custody jail services for the period of November 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2023, with an option to extend for an additional 2 years, and authorize the city manager to execute the agreement on behalf of the city and make minor modifications as appropriate. And I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Lieutenant Dalton. Any questions, comments, or a motion?
This is Kloppenstein. I have a comment.
Please go ahead.
I see this as a real time saver and allows our officers to get back on the street in a quick manner. So I think this is a real win for the department. And with that, I'll make a motion.
Brightingham,
second. Brightingham, second. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Bredigan,
Yes.
Councilmember Deidre Nguyen,
Yes.
Councilmember Bowie,
Yes?
Councilmember Kloppenstein,
Yes.
Councilmember Kim Nguyen,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Neill,
Yes.
and Mayor Jones.
Yes.
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
Thank you. Item 3B.
Item 3B is award a contract to West Yost Associates for professional engineering services to provide program management for the SCADA implementation projects. And I believe that Mr. Bill Murray is here to give the report.
Thank you, Ms. Pomeroy, Mr. Mayor, and members of the council. Tonight, the council is asked to award a contract to West Yost Associates for the design, construction management, and inspection of a new supervisory control and data acquisition system. We call that SCADA for short. SCADA is the brains of the water system in the city. It can regulate pumps, water wells, and redirect water sources and provide staff with accurate information on the system. Our current SCADA is rather dated and many parts are now obsolete. For example, it uses an auto dialer to send us a message that there's a problem as opposed to a text or an email. While the entire project will take about 5 years to complete with a total cost of almost $8 million, this contract is for the initial work. The project will basically consist of software generation, hardware procurement and installation, finishing programming, and all related construction management for the project. Staff received 2 proposals from qualified civil engineering firms. The proposals were rated by 3 staff members, and it was determined that West Yost and Associates would provide the best service based on their qualifications. The negotiated cost for these services is just under $3.2 million. Should the council decide to award the contract tonight, the initial design work can begin in November and should be complete by November of next year. However, the scope of services provided for under this contract will keep West Yost and Associates working on the remainder of the SCADA system installation for about the next 5 years. This project was included in this year's capital improvement plan and will be paid for with water funds. This concludes staff's report, and I'm available should you have any questions.
Thank you, Bill. Any questions or comments or a motion?
Brightingham, I'll move it.
Second. This is Deidre.
Thank you, guys. Roll call vote, please. Madam Clerk.
Mayor
Councilmember
Jones,
Brett,
before we vote, could I ask a couple of questions, please?
Please go ahead.
Okay. Bill Pat Bowie, on the cyber security component of it, for the SCADA, are we complying with the, with the standard that has been designed for the Homeland Security and the other national department. Are we up to that standard, or is this we just follow some general standard in the industry?
That's a very good question, Mr. Bowie, or Councilmember Bowie. Currently, our system is, it's not even hooked up, our current system is not even hooked up to the internet. And if it were, it would be completely out of date and out of compliance with all of the standards that you mentioned, specifically Homeland Security. We had our entire system reviewed for Homeland Security issues, and the SCADA system was identified as one of the components that needed work on it. This current, our new procurement, the new system that we're going to get, will be completely compliant and with all of the Homeland Security provisions, and we hope for a very secure system. Actually, we will have a very secure system.
I think the resident will be relieved to know that we are at least comply with the Homeland Security standard. Even though we do not suspect any foul play, but we never know. And I'm glad that after we complete this project, it will be in compliance. You mentioned about consist of 22 projects. Can you give us just a rough idea of what they are?
Well, a lot of the remainder of the projects will, when we upgrade our reservoirs or what have you, it will be hooking what we call the programmable logic controllers on valves and things like that will then actually operate valves. Those controllers will also can operate, turn on and turn off pumps and well systems. So a lot of it has to do, we want to do those installations when we go to work on those particular structures as a whole. So we have work to do on all of our reservoirs, and when we get there within the next 5 years, then we're going to install all of the related software and hardware to bring those systems online with the SCADA system.
Okay. And hopefully the final question, Bill, and we talked about this off and on over the past few years. And this might be just a Christmas wish for me and for many of the residents that talk to me about it. We have a number of incidents where, because of water leaks, toilet leaks, and unknown reason, some of the resident water bill have been skyrocketing because of the leaks. Most recently, a person in West Garden Grove, District 1, is facing a few $1,000 bill for his waters. Now, if we have electronic meters, we would be able to know that the water usage is increasingly, many-fold out of the norms, and would be able to alert the resident that they might have potential leaks. But that is expensive. So I would like to know if we could try to somehow do some of that as we upgrade this. It's not easy to do the entire city overnight, but is that something that we can do along with upgrading this system?
Well, actually, we've already started that process. We don't have a dedicated budget item for that, but as work progresses within the city, and specifically, we try to keep it to what we call books or areas or blocks of the city, and we've been concentrating on putting the electronic meters in the industrial area down by West Street. So basically where the railroad tracks are, it's on the western side of the city. with all those industrial buildings. So we've actually already started it. It does provide all of the responses that you're talking about. The customer could, we could set things up to send notices out to customers via text or email when their water is going over. Basically more than a kind of a normal average. So we can establish those parameters and work with the residents. It is something that we're looking to do. Currently, our biggest challenges are upgrading some of the very, very old systems that we have so that we can provide water in the first place. And of course, our issues regarding PFAS and establishing those filters. And we are currently working on actually bonding for some additional funds to bring our capital projects up online. I suspect that before we were really able to address the water meter issue, it would probably be included in the next rate study as a capital improvement.
And when would that next rate study come about? In a couple years or longer?
Well, it's generally 5 years or so after the previous rate study, which we did, I think, 2 years ago. So, probably, we probably would need to do it after we have installed all the filters that we need for PFAS. What's going to happen with that is it's going to slightly raise our operations and maintenance costs because we will have to hire people to maintain the filters. We will have to send the filters out to be rebuilt. Things like that will, impact the cost that it takes for us to deliver water to the residents. And so once we get a good background for that information, then that falls more or less in the time frame for redoing the rate study. And it'll also be key information for making sure that we have an accurate rate study. So it should be a few years, 4 years at the latest.
Okay. So that the public know what we are talking about, I have a leisure of talking to you for the past few years. I know, very much the detail of what's going on. Currently, our city, which is a very big city, we had to do the water meter reading every 2 months because we couldn't afford to have people go and read sending staff to go to each house and read their water meter every month. So what we did is we sent the water reading every 2 months. But the problem with that is if we have a water leak happen at the beginning of the cycle, we may not know about it until almost 2 months later. By that time, the water bill will be, quite substantial. It can run anywhere from a few $100 more to a few $1,000 more. So that is why I, would like to explore the possibility of having an electronic meter instead of a manual analog meters. Now, this system bill, if we implemented it, and if we are building new home, how difficult it is for the new construction. We use the electronic, and for the existing one, we have the old analog. Is that something that we can do in parallel, or it cannot be done?
It can be done. It's like staff currently, Sam Kim and his group are trying to decide which will be the best way to go about doing that. We do like having meter readers in the field. They provide an eyes and ears for the system. So if there's a water valve that's leaking or, the signs of a broken water main, and they're out there walking and reading the meters, generally they see that and are able to report it back in, and we're able to address those larger issues in terms of water leaks. So there are a couple different ways that you can have the meters read. One of them is by setting up basically antennas around the town it'll send out a signal, gather data, and report back to the city. The other is for basically the meter readers to carry a handheld scanning device which scans the meter and basically downloads it into the system. It can be transmitted either by plugging the reader in to a computer or wirelessly. So there's a lot of different options available for that, and we're looking at that. Currently, what we have in the center of the city with the industrial are the antennas.
I see. That's good. Thanks for the information. No more questions for you, Bill? Mayor?
Yep, thank you, Madam Clerk. Please call roll call vote.
Councilmember Bridegan,
Yes.
Councilmember Deidre Nguyen,
Yes.
Councilmember Bowie,
Yes?
Councilmember Klopfenstein,
Yes.
Councilmember Kim Nguyen,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Neill,
Yes.
Mayor Jones.
Yes.
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
That takes us to ordinances presented for second reading and adoption, item 4A.
Item 4A is second reading and adoption of ordinance number 2917 entitled An Ordinance of the City Council of the City of Garden Grove amending section 141270 of the Garden Grove Municipal Code to designate the Administrative Board of Appeals as a hearing body for billing disputes.
Second reading. Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll move it,
I motion
Brightingham, with a comment though.
I think we have a motion and a second, right, was Tuha? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, George.
Yeah, just I'm really happy about this. You know, I brought it up specifically actually of what Pat was talking about, a guy in my district that got a large water bill, and you know, there's really no way to deal with it other than to say sue us, you know. So I think this is awesome that it prevents our community from having to retain lawyers and pay court costs and take a day off work to go to court and all this kind of stuff, when, you know, it could just be done internally with our admin board of appeals. They can hear both sides, and, you know, you got your community members there making the decision. So I think it's awesome.
Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Bridegan,
Yes.
Councilmember Deidre Nguyen,
Yes.
Councilmember Bowie,
Yes.
Councilmember Klopfenstein,
Yes.
Councilmember Kim Nguyen,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Neill,
Yes.
Mayor Jones.
Yes.
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
Okay, that takes us on to matters, and I think I'll go ahead and go first because we have none listed, but I have something from the city clerk that I'm supposed to read in. This is regarding the housing element survey. The city is updating the housing, safety, and land use elements and adopting a new environmental justice element to the Garden Grove General Plan. This Friday, September 25th, is the last day to participate in the city's online survey to provide input towards creating a community housing strategy for the next 8 years. Their survey is available in multiple languages, and for more details or access to the online survey, please visit the city's website at ggcity.org. Thank you. And then I'll comment actually on one other thing that happened this last week too. We were invited to participate in what turned out to be a pretty big press conference together with the city of Anaheim and the city of Buena Park to urge the governor to provide guidelines for the safe and sensible reopening of Disneyland. This obviously affects our city in many ways, but we're estimated to have about 8,000 jobs that are directly or indirectly attributable to Disneyland. That results from all the peripheral hotels and restaurants and retails and other businesses that are in some way connected with Disney and its broad reach across Orange County. So we've done that, and still waiting for a response. But what I gather is that Disneyland has a plan ready to go, and they feel confident that they can pull it off safely and successfully. They've made a lot of improvements, I understand, to the park, and they're prepared to move forward and implement, but they need guidance from the governor in order to proceed. So that's what we were asking for. I've had some side conversations with Councilmember Klopfenstein on this as well, and so I'll hand it over to her if she wants to add anything on.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, first I want to thank you for attending and obviously for your comments at that press conference recently. I think that on a city level, I know with District 5, I have a great deal of the Harbor Corridor in my district and a lot of hotels that obviously are directly affected. So at a city level, I would like for us to consider writing a letter, and I would appreciate my council colleagues' support in signing on to this letter and asking the governor for reasonable and obtainable guidance for reopening Disneyland. And to kind of echo what you're saying, Mayor, I fully believe that if anybody can open safely and responsibly, it's going to be Disneyland. I also have to remind everyone that this isn't really just about opening the park because everybody misses Space Mountain, although I do too. This is really about our local job market. And we have a great deal of residents that work within the resort area. And we all know that there's been a devastating impact to the small businesses in the surrounding area. So I feel a letter would be an appropriate step for us and something I would appreciate us to consider.
Great. Any other comments, or is that, yeah.
I don't know if that's something, well, I'm curious, and I will defer to the city attorney. I don't know if that's something that has to be voted on, or if that's something I can just give direction to possibly move forward with. And if any of my colleagues would like to join in that letter, that's something that we can craft and get out as soon as possible. That's what I'm thinking.
Mayor, Councilmember Klopfenstein, members of council, I don't think there's any vote or anything that's needed by council. This is something that would fall within the policy that you've established for our legislative guidelines. So I think myself, Assistant Manager Maria Stipe, we could put together a letter and send it out on behalf of the council. And we can do that tomorrow, as soon as tomorrow.
Mayor and Mr. Stein, if each of us would like to sign, or I should say, if someone would like to sign the letter, can we do it, or it's just a letter of you sending out on behalf of the mayor and council member?
This is Omar Sandoval, City Attorney. So if all council members would like to sign, we would have to put something on the agenda, the actual letter on the agenda for the council to approve it and authorize a signature. If you recall, your legislative platform policy authorizes the mayor or the manager to sign it, and normally we have the mayor sign it. I'm blanking out as to whether it authorizes all council members to sign, but if we don't put it on the agenda, it's going to look like a Brown Act violation. So if we want all council members to sign, the best course would be to draft a letter, put it on the agenda for approval.
Since this is timely, I mean, I think,
yes.
Yeah. Can we move it forward tonight as a emergency item or whatever you would call it? Just since if we drag our feet too long, then, maybe this.
Yeah, I don't think we have till next council meeting, quite frankly.
I mean, I hope not, frankly, but I don't know that. I think the timing is now to try and get the governor's attention from as many angles as possible.
Yes.
Including the different cities that are chipping away, and the OCBC and all the chambers and whatever that are doing this. But I think the timing would be now, because that's when all these letters are hitting him and saying, please come visit and get engaged.
Yeah.
Yes, Mayor. So just really quickly, Somar again, Yeah, if there's a motion to add it to today's agenda as an urgency item, and the council unanimously agrees, then it can be added to the agenda as an urgency item, and then we'll discuss it, the contents of the letter, and authorize all council members to sign it.
I would like to make a motion to agendize it today so we can vote on it. I feel this is an important issue. As I have said often, I think the way the governor have implemented COVID, even though it's important, but the guidance is very, very lacking. And so I think given the state of the economy and the state of the COVID pandemic, I think we want to urge the governor to make a much more timely and more bold plan in order to, move our economy forward. And so I would love to make a motion to, have an emergency agenda item so that we can vote on it tonight.
Since I brought this idea forward, I'd like to at least be allowed the second.
Hold on a second. Let me clarify. Fat, go ahead and bring that forward. Stephanie second. And then thereafter, I would suggest we give this back to Stephanie to make the actual motion. Right now, we're just motioning to agendize this for tonight as an urgency item.
Clear.
Got it? So we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Brightigan,
Yes.
Councilmember Deidre Nguyen,
Yes.
Councilmember Bowie,
Yes.
Councilmember Klopfenstein,
Yes.
Councilmember Kim Nguyen,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Neill,
Yes.
Mayor Jones.
Yes.
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
Okay, so now that establishes that we're going to agendize this for tonight as an urgency item, and then I presume Stephanie would like to go forward and move it, and I will second it.
Thank you very much. I'd appreciate moving it. Yes.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to submit this letter to the governor. Roll call vote, please.
Oops, sorry.
Mr. Mayor, this is Deidre.
Go ahead, Deidre.
Hey, I just want to clarify. So we're going to send a letter to seeking for expedited guidance, right? To reopen the Disneyland. Am I correct on that one?
That's correct, in a safe and sensible manner.
Yes.
Right. So, within the guidelines. Okay.
Yes.
Councilmember Brightigan,
Yes.
Councilmember Deidre Nguyen,
Yes.
Councilmember Bowie,
Yes.
Councilmember Klopfenstein,
Yes.
Councilmember Kim Nguyen,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Neill,
Yes.
and Mayor Jones.
Yes.
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
Okay, thank you. Any other matters from council members? We'll go around the board. Mayor Pro Tem O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to express my gratitude for all the firefighters out there. From what I understand, there's about 19,000 firefighters from all over the country battling 27 major wildfires in California. We've lost probably 1 million acres to forest fires. So it's not only the firefighters, but the families that it affects everywhere. Most of us, we get to go home every night and go to bed in a safe place. These guys and gals are sleeping wherever they can find a place if they can get outside the fire. So I just wanted to express my gratitude to them and their families. Keep doing the good work. I know we've all suffered with all this smoke everywhere, but we've got it okay here in Garden Grove. I'm glad to see some clear skies lately, but just wanted to, express my sincere gratitude to all the firefighters out there. It's been a horrible year, as we all know, 2020, and then the earthquake the other night. I mean, just par for the course of 2020. So hopefully we will get through this and look to a brighter 2021. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Brightigan.
Yeah, I got a few. In the venue of public art, hoping to get that last box done to the military tribute with the 6 logos of the 6 branches of our armed forces. Hopefully that'll happen eventually. I've got a shout out to the service clubs of Garden Grove. You know, they really are one of the keystones in our community, and all of them. You know, we got the Moose, the Elks, the Masons, Kiwanis, you know, and they do so much good in our community, and they really don't get a lot of shout out, so to speak. So I just want to, you know, tip my hat to them, and, you know, to any member of the public who is inclined and has some free time. All those clubs are great organizations. They all do great goodwill in our community, and, you know, you might consider joining one. And then lastly, I want to talk about audit systems or self-audits within the city. You know, quality through continuous improvement has always been a backbone of most companies, and it's really easy to kind of get in a groove, so to speak, and you do the same thing over and over again, and think you've got it licked, and there's new technologies, new ways of doing things, and you keep doing it the old way, and you think you got it down. So I really challenge all of our directors and manager level staff of our city to look at their systems, see if there's ways to improve those systems, and if there's anything that council can do to help you to facilitate that. Especially, and I know this is going to come from Kim Wynn. She's always talking about grants, and I'm right there with her. You know, are we working our grants properly? Are we missing out on any? Are there ways we can improve the system? Just things we should be looking at, and not just grants, all the systems within our city. We should be auditing those and looking for improvement in any kind of way. And that's all.
Thank you. Councilmember Bowie.
Yes, I have a couple. The first one is I'm so glad that Councilman Bradingham brought up the staff audit. Coming from the business world where I specialize in business process re-engineering, I see Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 company always auditing their own operation, not with the intention not to police themselves, but to always look for ways to improve their operation so that they can compete more effectively against other businesses. By auditing their operation continually, they would be able to identify room to streamline their operation. They would be able to identify area for improvement by using enabling technology. Technology always advanced, and there are always more tools, more methodology that allow them to do more with less. So I think that is very important if we get into the habit of self-auditing. Also, I remember a few years ago when we went through the some of the issue with our city management in the years of 2016 or 2014. You know, with all of the scandal around our city management and our mayor then. We were hiring, when we hired our new city manager, Mr. Stein, we kind of agreed that we will do an annual performance review of our key city manager and director level. And for the past 5 years, we talk about it, but we have never actually doing it. So I think moving forward, we might want to at least do some informal review if we are, having to fight so many other issues. Then at least we would do an informal review so that we know where we are, what we have been able to achieve, and what we fall short of our objectives. I think that is very important. So I echo with Councilman Bradingham, and I hope the city manager and the mayor will push that forward and let not that fall off the table. And lastly, I would like to ask for my colleague to support a discussion and possibly, taking some action to somewhat partially open some of the park. The reason I bring that up is I received so many requests from residents using the park, and they try to do that within the guideline of the governor. The problem that they ran into is when they come to the park and do some exercise, they have no way to use the restroom, and most often they have to, get back to their car, drive to, business close to the park, so that they can use the restroom, because the restroom at the park will close. I'm so glad that when I bring this issue to, Park and Recreation and to our city manager, they did a temporary solution by, dropping some temporary, portable toilets at the Garden Grove Park. But I think that is not a good way for people to use a park, that they have to use, healthy portable restroom. So I would like to, at least for us to discuss a possible solution. Perhaps we open some of the facility partially, not allowing games or basketball or so on, but at least open it so that they can use the restroom. And I hope, I have your support to discuss that next week with the potential that if staff can come up with a solution, then we could, take some action.
I'll give you a second, Pat, but I think if we go into YOLO next week anyway, I think that includes the park.
If that is the case, then that would be great. But let's just do that in case we don't do it. I went to the park last weekend. There are so many people there. They keep social distance, but I saw them having to walk to the Michael Dow Medical Clinic or drive to some of the local restaurants to use their restroom.
So you want to agendize it? I'll give you the second.
Yes.
Can I ask for some clarification? I apologize. This is just to further a discussion on what is happening in our parks or what we could potentially do to make things more convenient in terms of restroom use. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, correct. What I'm not asking for a full open of the park. That is not the case. So we still comply to the governor guideline. I'm just asking about the potential for opening the restroom in our facility so that when people come to the park to exercise, which is permitted under the governor guideline, they have a restroom to use. So it is specific only to the restroom, not to the other sport facility.
Councilman, this is City Manager Stiles. Yeah, I'm happy to, the other thing we can do in addition to it, or however you want to handle it, we'll have some conversations with John Montanchez and Bill Murray, both of their staffs. I know they are doing some work on our restroom facilities. We're trying to be sensitive about staff and how we open those. We're also obviously trying to follow the guidelines, and that's where some of the difficulty is. And yeah, you and I did have some good conversations about it earlier the week. We are getting some portalettes at Garden Grove Park, and we're looking at how we can also do some partial openings at some of our other parks as well. So we're in the process of doing that, and you can agendize it. I can report back to the council on all of that, and we can share that information on social media, however you'd prefer to move forward.
Yes, I understand that, Mr. Stein and my colleagues. My intention here is not to open the park in a way that it is not comply to the governor guideline or mandates. That's not the intent. we know that the governor has allowed restaurants to partially open for indoor dining. That means the customer can come in and use a restroom, and up to 25% of them can remain inside the restaurant for indoor dining. So along that line of thought, I thought that if we allow people to come to the park to exercise, why can we not allow them to get into the some of the facility to use the clean restroom? And if the restaurant can allow their patron to use their restroom, sanitized with staff, with protection to their staff, then I think perhaps the city could do something along those lines, come up with a solution that's safe for our staff, comply to the governor guideline, keep people in social distance. If we allow them to come to the park to have family picnic with social distance, we allow them to go to the park for exercising, which we do, then I think it's just appropriate to also allow them to use a restroom, a clean restroom.
Yeah, Councilman, yeah, I'm on the same page with you. I totally understand. And we will certainly, again, I don't know how council wants to proceed, but one of the things I'll do is, meet with the directors. We'll put together exactly what we can and can't do in the parks and what we can do with the restrooms. And I'd like to report back out to you and all the council members on that.
Okay, so I will, that means I have it agendized then, right? And we discuss and perhaps take action depending on how the discussion goes.
Yeah, if I understand it correctly, we can come back at the next meeting on October 13th with a staff report on our parks and trying to answer most of the questions that you're talking about.
Sure. Okay. Thank you, Scott.
Sure.
Okay, Councilmember Kim Nguyen.
Yes, thank you. Just a couple comments. First and foremost, I just want to give a huge shout out to our city staff, specifically Sean Park and Maria Stipe, for the amazing work that they've been doing regarding the census. While I miss attending meetings with our community stakeholders pre-COVID, I want to highlight the efforts of our staff, other members of the city staff as well, to get us where we are. We've surpassed our 2010 response rate, and last I checked, we're just over 78%. The deadline is Wednesday, September 30th, and I'm hoping that we can get to 80%. The last comment I have is, it was my great honor and privilege to work with our staff in Congressman Lou Correa's office last year for the first Veterans Day event in the city. Now that that's coming around the corner and we are still in the middle of a pandemic, I'd like to bring back an idea that I brought forward in 2018 to our staff regarding placing banners to honor our service members around the city, and hoping that staff can provide some direction as far as what that would take and where we are with that. That's all. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Klopfenstein.
Yeah, just one quick comment. Unfortunately, the city of Garden Grove saw its first death due to the West Nile virus. It was an elderly gentleman, so my thoughts and prayers are with his family. This just is unfortunately a very sober reminder that West Nile virus is here. We are having quite a bad mosquito season, so just a reminder to the community to safeguard your homes and be very careful at night when you're outside, dump and drain your standing water, and make sure you're wearing bug repellent when outdoors, especially at dusk and dawn. That's all I have. Thank you.
Councilmember Deidre Tuha-Nguyen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to echo after Councilmember Kim Nguyen regarding the census. Our number is very good, but we can do better. So I just encourage all the constituents in City of Garden Grove to continue to, and encourage your neighbor if you already done so for the census. But we need to achieve better height, and then I'm a believer. So we're gonna aim for 80%. We only 1-point-something more percent to go. So just every one of us gonna ask our neighbors to make sure everybody fill out the census, because that's gonna help our community with all the budgets and funding. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. City Manager Scott Stas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also want to reiterate the comments about the census, and I really want to highlight a couple things in particular. First of all, this is a reminder that the deadline for the census is coming up next Wednesday, September 30th. That is the deadline. I am ecstatic and so excited to report that to date, Garden Grove's self-response rate is 78.2%. And I'd just like to reiterate to everybody that's listening, among cities with a similar population, Garden Grove is third in the nation and second in the state of California for our response rate, which is absolutely outstanding. And really a lot of credit goes to all of the members of City Council that have been so supportive on pushing this message and encouraging the staff to really push this message out. The staff has also been doing a tremendous amount of work, and really all the credit to the community that's really responded to this point. I mean, it's just fabulous, and a response rate like this means everything because it determines, as we all have talked about, what kind of federal funding comes to our community. So responding this well is fantastic. And I want to reiterate, we still, as has already been mentioned, we still have a little time to go. People can go to my2020census.gov, G-O-V, to fill that out. And boy, if we could get to 80%, that would be wonderful. But congratulations to the entire community to what we've done so far. So it's fantastic. I will mention on the banners for Veterans Day. Yeah, it's tough to do everything that we've been able to do in the past, but we will be we'll do some work on the banner program, and I'll talk to staff and I'll report back to all of the members on council on what kind of banners we might be able to get installed in time for Veterans Day. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. I want to give kudos to Kim Wynn for pushing on the census thing in particular, but of course, all of us. Legal counsel, do we have any need for closed session?
No, Mayor, and we did have closed session early this evening, and there's no reportable action out of the closed session.
Thank you. With that, we are adjourned until Tuesday, October 13th at 5:30 p.m. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your evening, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Have a great night, guys.
Good night, everybody. Thank